Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel. It's so good to have everybody here. It's Tuesday, my live at 2 Mountain Standard Time, and I appreciate everybody here. I'm looking in the chat. Marilyn is waving. Hello, Marilyn. Hi, Lisa. Hello. Welcome, everybody. So, oh my gosh, today I just wanted to bring up the top whole food plant-based lifestyle mistakes. And, I kind of didn't want to call it mistakes, but then again, I decided why not? Hey, John Jew. Hi. Good to see you. Good to see you, Jill. Wonderful. So happy to have everybody here in the chat. Yeah, and I hope everybody's doing well today with the holidays approaching. And so I guess, I love it. Look at all of the shout outs and the hearts and stuff. Um, so before we get started, I just want to let Todd know there is a technical issue for me on the camera. There we go. Okay, now I can see the chat better. Okay, so anyways, so I wanted to talk about the 5 whole food plant-based lifestyle mistakes. And the reason that I decided to pick this topic is because I have, I often hear people share with me that they are now eating whole food plant-based, but sometimes they're feeling tired, or they've gained weight, or they're not able to lose weight, and they thought they should have already lost that weight. And so many people, after communicating with them and kind of figuring out what they're doing, a lot of people make common mistakes that slow their progress when transitioning either to a plant-based diet or maintaining the plant-based lifestyle. And especially during the holidays, I thought that this would be a good one to talk about, because it's hard sometimes with all the distractions of everything, but we can stay on track. But first, we need to recognize that, the different things that might be causing us to fall, different traps and so forth. So I just want to ask everybody, have you struggled to achieve your health and wellness goals? I mean, it doesn't have to be right now, but has that happened to you before? You could put a yes or a no or a Y or an N in the chat. Feel free to also add anything else to it, but I would love to hear, because it is a really common thing. And so I just kind of was curious. So today, like I mentioned, I want to discuss some of the common pitfalls that people encounter when they're adopting a whole food plant-based lifestyle. And I thought it would be really important to bring awareness to help people to avoid them. So, all right, the holiday season is here, right? And I just want to check the chat. So Jill says, I have been plant-based for 1.5 years and gaining weight. There you go. So so this hopefully will be helpful for you by the time we get through to this. And so I appreciate you sharing that. And you're not alone. Lots of people have dips and wins and struggles during this process, but there's a lot of extra pressure, I believe, usually during the holiday season. And it's not for everyone, but majority of people, like family expectations, right? You're either hosting or you're going, or for us, like, we like to get gifts for, the grandbabies and family members. The family expectations can be a big one. Social events, that can be a big one. We were just recently starting with some holiday social parties through plant-based potlucks, and it's so fun. But then it's like, oh, they're doing, an elephant gift exchange or whatever. There's those kinds of social pressures and social events, and even the workspace. A lot of people, they have a lot of work parties, and the abundance of indulgent, non-plant-based foods are more readily available, I believe, and it's easy to fall into habits and feel out of place when everyone else is digging into those sugary, fatty, dishes that maybe at one point we indulged in. And so I'm going to be sharing an advanced tip here. I'm going to be sharing a recipe in a little bit that you might want to try. It's a very easy recipe, and it's it's going to make you feel like you're not missing anything at all, and so you'll be able to make it quickly. Bring it with you if you want. Let other people try it, and I bet if they don't ask to try it, they might be really curious and be like, what are you eating? So we'll get into that in just a little bit. So let's get into the 5 biggest mistakes that I hear that people make when switching to a whole food plant-based diet, or just falling off. You get used to things, and life sometimes puts some other stresses and stuff in there. And so how we can navigate these, it keeps doing that. So yeah. Okay, thanks. So we're going to go with the 5. So here is the first one. Oh, before we go any further, I just want to check the chat to see if anyone else added anything besides Jill. No. And oh, hello from Arizona. Okay, so let me see if I can say that name. Core Scorpy. Woo! Todd gave me the thumbs up. Welcome, Core Scorpy. It's good to have you. All right, so the first mistake, eating nutrient poor foods. Yeah, eating nutrient poor foods. So one major mistake is not eating enough nutrient rich, dense foods. So you might be eating them, but you might not be eating enough of them. So many people assume that like simply just cutting out their animal products, that equals the healthy eating. Well, that isn't always the case. And so, for example, a plant-based diet that might be full of processed foods, things like pasta, like breads, chips, even the vegan Oreo, right? Oreo cookies are actually vegan. But those things lack nutrients, and our body needs those nutrients to thrive. So, so focusing on whole food, plant exclusive, rich, leafy greens, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, all those things that I try to talk about is the key here. And those are also things like kale and spinach and beans and quinoa. I have some of that stuff here, not everything that I'm mentioning. Those nutrients are our powerhouses, and they fuel the body, and they build healthy cells and promote healing, which is what it's all about. So I want to ask you guys another question, and that is, what are your go-to powerhouse whole food, plant exclusive food choices? Do you have any? I want to hear. So I'm just going to flip over my notes here and check the chat. Because I see John Juice says, to confidently embrace being myself, I am continually learning that this is the true path to optimal health. There's no better way to nourish and heal our bodies than through the power of nutrition. Yeah. And Lisa says beans and greens are her powerhouse choice in foods. Thank you so much, John Ju, for sharing that. I appreciate that. And I'm sure others appreciate hearing that too. So we're going to try to identify the problem, right? And so during the holidays, and this could be happening at any time during the year, but during the holidays, I feel like it can be a little more challenging and harder. So during the holidays, it's tempting, and it is, to rely on store-bought vegan substitutes or processed holiday treats, even if they're, they're not dairy they're vegan, like I said. And even the plant-based meats. I mean, we just had Thanksgiving here in the US, and a lot of people do those tofurkeys or whatever. There's cookies, there's packaged side dishes and all kinds of things. And while those things are super convenient, they often lack nutrients that we need, and are usually full of additives and things that make them stay shelf stable or last longer. So I just want to check the chat here. Marilyn Dubin says, I have been transitioning slowly, and every step I take makes me feel successful. I do feel better. Yay, that's wonderful news. Yeah, just keep on. And the more that you surround yourself by communities and learn, that's what I did, then the better I became, and the more aware that I became. And even if I was already aware, it's a nice reminder sometimes. So so we've got encouragement in the chat. So anyways, I want to say that okay, going back to that, filling up on those kinds of foods, right? The processed foods, I want to call them convenient foods, because they are. Those foods tend to leave people feeling sluggish, feeling unsatisfied, maybe for the moment of the bite, or while it's in your mouth, you might feel some kind of like enjoyment, but it really isn't satisfying long term, and it isn't for your cells. And sometimes you can even feel guilty. Maybe not in the moment, but after the fact, which is the opposite of how we want to feel this season, right? So I'll just share with you, when I was on my whole food plant-based journey a handful of years ago, and I've been on it for many years, ups and downs and curves, but I found myself anemic. And anemia is a low iron deficiency. And I was very nutrient deficient, and that was clear by my doctor. So I worked with my doctor, and I finally realized that I wasn't really doing things correctly. I wasn't eating all the whole food plant-based categories of things that I talk about that you see here. And definitely not the large quantities that are really important for us to eat, and that would fuel me. So like normally this bowl right here that's filled with all these beautiful things is my salad bowl, and so I wasn't eating that large quantity. So let me just check the chat here. Everybody seems to be doing, let's see. John Juice says, eating what I love to eat. Strangely enough, my taste buds are not only in my mouth, also in my entire cellular structure, including my mindset. Yes. Yes. And sometimes things that we think we remember about something that we think we might be missing, if you do dare to try it, most people tell me they're disappointed. It's not what I remember it to be. I wished I didn't do that. But having the mindset is super important. Thank you for bringing that up. I really do appreciate it. And so I'll just go back to sharing a little bit about my story. And so an example would be like, for me, when I was hungry or I was really tired, I didn't have anything prepped, I would maybe go, it was late, I would maybe go and pop some popcorn, air pop popcorn, right? Nothing on it. And, I thought that was great, clean food. But for me, it wasn't at all. And it didn't offer me any nutrients the way, say, beans or peas or lentils or greens or fruit, vegetables, nuts, seeds, all those things would. And so that was really hard. So what we want to do is we want to do what I tried to do, and I learned to focus on whole, unprocessed foods. And, during the holiday season, you can try making like a hearty lentil loaf, which is what I did recently. You can find it on my channel. We did it for the holidays, the Thanksgiving holidays that just recently passed here. You could do like a mashed sweet potato with cashew cream. There's delicious foods that will satisfy you, and then you don't have to rely on packaged options or processed convenient foods, which are not going to help you. So you can create your own holiday treats, and then you can still feel like you fit in if you're going to be surrounded by groups of people that aren't eating or living this way. And then you won't feel deprived of anything. You might think that you're deprived from today, but if you try some of these treats or some of these whole food desserts, you'll find that they're very satisfying. And we will be making a simple, yummy, whole food plant-based dessert. And what it is a chocolate avocado mousse. Yes. And I would love to hear if anybody has ever tried something like that. And also, here's a question for you. What's one holiday dish that you'd love to make healthier? Maybe it's a family traditional dish. Maybe it's something you tried at a restaurant years ago, or you had at, an aunt's or a cousin's or a relative's house, or a neighbor's. And you're like, God, I really love how that tasted. Well, if you drop it in the chat, maybe we can help you figure out certain ingredients that you could swap, that you could try to make it more of a plant-based version. And then it might not taste exactly the same, but it might give you what you think you're missing or be able to continue on that tradition. So let's see if we have anything going on. Oh, Lisa said that sounds delicious. Yes, I'm super excited. So we're going to go through the next few mistakes, and then I am going to prepare it with you and taste it, and it's going to be delicious. And I'm super excited about it. Okay, so the next mistake is not getting enough protein. I know, you're probably like, why do people say that? Because a lot of people in the whole food plant exclusive world, they get enough protein, and you can get enough protein, but sometimes you can't. Now let's talk about when that is. So if you're ignoring your protein needs, another common pitfall is to not consume enough, I'm bringing that word back, enough plant-based proteins. Now, while it's easy to meet your protein requirements, like we just talked about on a whole food plant-based diet, the requirements vary. And there are certain foods that you need to pay attention to. So the ones that I like to pay attention to that are really high in protein are lentils, which do I have any lentils here? Actually, these are sprouted lentils. So I'm going to call these, they're lentils. We've got beans, tofu. I didn't bring out of the refrigerator, but I always have tofu and tempeh, quinoa, which is, I have some cooked quinoa right here, and even nuts and seeds. And those are things that are high. Like, so quinoa instead of rice, right? Check the nutrients and check the differences and see if you're a rice lover, but you're missing nutrients, check into a different grain or a different, a different grain. And you might be surprised that, oh, if I just try a little bit adding this one into it a little more often, or sub out, some of the other ones. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with rice. I'm just using that as an example for this conversation. So let me just check the chat. Let's see. Oh, okay, Lisa says, I found a way to make my favorite Christmas rice pudding in a whole food plant-based way. Ooh, now that sounds good. She says, using cashew cream instead of whipped cream. Yes, that's amazing. That's amazing. Maybe you'll have to share that with us. And John Juice says, I still have a speck of resistance just by the name, lentil loaf or chia pudding. Although I know better, really tasty, I'm not sure. My mistake. So are you saying that the name somehow makes you not want it? You feel like it's not what it tastes like? I just want to clarify. If that is the case, then rename it. Call it something else. Make it and give it a new name and have fun with it. Isn't that the whole idea? Get creative. Don't call it a lentil loaf. And if I'm mistaken and that's not what you were saying, then give me some clarification. Can you up the chat a little bit so I can see it? What's that? Oh, okay. Okay. So anyways, let's see. So we were talking about not getting enough protein. And so I just want to tell you, in 1 cup of lentils, 1 cup of cooked lentils, or I didn't do the sprouted, but cooked lentils contains 18 grams of protein. And what else does it have in it that a lot of protein non-plant-based foods had? This one has fiber in it, and it has no cholesterol. And so it's a great source. However, if you're not intentional about these foods, you can feel fatigue, you can feel weakness. And I know, because this happened to me when I was doing whole food plant-based. And it was because I wasn't eating those. I thought, well, I wasn't really raised on lentils. I mean, I had lentil soup and stuff, but we didn't like have that as staple in our house. And so I thought, well, I don't need it, but my blood work showed that I did. And so my doctor helped me tweak things by having me focus on lentils to make sure that I was getting enough of my protein. And so what they had me do was make sure that I bring in at least a half a cup per day. And I did that. And you know what? My blood work turned right around and I was fine. So with the holiday meals often centered on the carbs and like stuffings and potatoes and breads and all those things, it's easy to miss out on the protein rich plant foods. So and these things can leave you feeling less full and more likely to overindulge on like desserts or snacks or those convenient foods that we talked about. And so that can be a problem. So what can you do? Take those same dishes that I just mentioned and add lentils, add black beans to your stuffing. Make yourself a chickpea based gravy or something and pour it all over your food. I do a chickpea salad dressing. You can even just take hummus and water it down with some lemon or lime and pour it on your salad. There's ways to do it, and it's delightful. And you don't have to forget, snacking too. Like I just mentioned, the hummus. You don't have to water it down. You could use it with as a dip for veggies. You can flavor and roast chickpeas, and then you can have that as like a party appetizer. And so I'd like to ask you, what is your go-to holiday snack if you have one? I really would like to hear about that. And let me check the chat too. Before we go on to mistake number 3, let's see here. Okay, whoa. Oh, thank you so much. Course Scorpy says, let's give back to Jennifer for giving us the right for me. I appreciate that and like her video. Thank you. John Ju says, yes, it used to. I have friends just by the mention of healthy food and they say, oh yeah, that's not for me. Well, I know people like that too. Clorinda, hello, Clorinda from Missouri. Good to see you. Thanks for coming and being on the call here today. Plant Powered Peddler Janet's here. Hey, good to see you. And everyone's saying hello. Just checking the chat here. Okay, so we're going to go to mistake number 3. Overlooking vitamins and minerals. And it's true. It's easy to do. So to thrive on a whole food, plant exclusive lifestyle, it is essential. And essential means our bodies don't make it. It is essential to get adequate vitamins and minerals, such as things like iron, potassium, magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin C. You can do it. So for iron, incorporate beans like soybeans. They're so high in iron. I was shocked. And lentils and spinach, and pair those things up with vitamin C. So if you pair those up with like citrus fruits, I have oranges here. You can do lemon, lime, those kinds of things, even grapefruit. And surprisingly, another one that really surprised me was red bell pepper. I don't know if it's all bell pepper, but I know red or the bright colors are high in vitamin C. And so that will enhance absorption, which is really helpful. Now, for me, I have personally dealt with anemia, which is a low iron. So low iron consumption with the whole food plant-based doctor had me add the lemon juice, like I was just sharing, to my green salads, and then other high vitamin C's foods like the red bell pepper that I mentioned, and the absorption helped me. And over time, and it doesn't happen quickly with iron, but over time, my numbers, were in a safe place, and I was no longer anemic. So that's something that you need to check on. And let's just check the chat here. Lisa said, I make Chef AJ's ginger snaps to snack on during the holidays. Woo, now that's a good one. And I'm sure that it's full. I mean, ginger is amazing for us. It's an anti-inflammatory, and having the ginger snap sounds really yummy and satisfying. So let's see. Janet says, oh, she's talking about, she's got a recipe. Okay, very good. So I'm going to switch over now to the omega-3s. The omega-3s, those can be found like here. This is, right? I always talk about the flaxseed. You grind it up. The chia seed, you can grind that up as well. And if you're doing nuts, walnuts are amazing with the omegas in your diet. And since vitamin B12 is no longer in our soils, it's depleted. It's important to take a vitamin B12 supplement. And so, especially if you're exclusive whole food plant-based, that's something that you just need to be aware of. And unfortunately, we used to be able to get it from our food, but now, like I mentioned, the soils are depleted, and we cannot do that. Oh, hey, Nan. I'm sort of here, she says, but got a phone call, and you're going to do the replay. Okay, yeah, no worries. I'm glad that you are here when you can be. That's the whole point, is just to know that we're here when you're here. So let's see. So we were just talking about vitamin B12 and the importance of doing that. And now the hustle and bustle of the holidays, right, can make it hard to focus on getting those nutrients in. Plus some traditional holiday foods and like rich desserts and heavy casseroles and things like that, they can crowd out the table. And so then you don't see the grains, or you don't see the vegetables, and those are the ones that we need to provide us the vitamins. And so it's just important for us to be aware of that, because without the iron, without the omega-3s, without the B12, without the vitamin C and all of those things, you may eventually over time feel more tired. You might feel less able to handle holiday stress, believe it or not. It all plays, everything's connected. And when we fuel ourselves with the right, proper things, the payoff is just amazing. So what is the solution to all of this, right? Include your greens in your holiday meals. Try adding like kale and pomegranates. Make a kale pomegranate salad and bring that to your festive holiday extravaganza. It is full of nutrition, and it will be very well loved. Plus, it's so colorful. I personally love pomegranates. And on a kale or spinach salad, yum. Don't forget, right? We talked about, don't forget the B12 supplements. And you can remind yourself by setting a reminder on your phone, an alarm, especially during the holiday days, if you find that you're forgetting to do that, because it is super crucial for energy and for focus, among other things. So let me ask another question, you guys. What is your favorite way to include greens during the holidays? Do you have a favorite way? Or what are you thinking about how you could do it if you haven't done it already? I'd love to hear. So let's see. So now I'm just going to give everybody a minute, and then we will move on to the mistake number 4, which is failing to plan meals. Failing to plan your meals. So not planning a meals ahead is one of the biggest pitfalls that I come across, especially when you're stressed. there's a lot of busyness going on, we tend to, in the moment, turn to those convenient foods, which are often less healthy. And if you could just try to carve out some time to meal prep, it can be a true game changer. Oh my gosh, that is so true. So, what do you need to do for that? Just set aside some time to batch cook your meals. Make salads for 3 days worth. I tend to do that a lot. I take the big bowl and I do all of the things that won't go bad, like the carrots and the heartier things, and then I add the wet later. You can prepare staple ingredients ahead of time, like I have right here, the grains. So I've got the quinoa here, but you could do potatoes, which are in the cabinet. I didn't bring those out. You can roast vegetables. You can, have pre-chopped melons or washed and ready to go fruits like grapes and all of those kinds of things, apples, oranges, all this stuff here. And just and vegetables, have your vegetables ready to go. In fact, if you have other people living in the house and you leave, say, something that they would love in a bag versus cleaned and in a bowl where they can grab it, chances are, including yourself, you'll probably grab it when it's ready to go. You know why? Because when you're hungry, it's just better in terms of convenience. And then it makes it easier for you to, when you have all those batch prepped things ahead of time, it's easier and not to get overwhelmed, where you could just grab, okay, I got this cooked, I got that cooked, like I do. Look it, this is a salad. Just a smaller portion because it's the end of my 3 days, right? So I can grab that. And look, underneath here, I just store this bell pepper. I can chop that up with some of these tomatoes and whatever else, throw in a handful of these lentils and the quinoa and beans and whatever. I'm ready to go. And so let's see. So let's just check the chat for a minute. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yes. Janet says right now she's doing the lemon ginger blast, which is a green juice. And I've tried that and it is something, isn't it? It's potent and powerful, full of all kinds of nutrients. And John Juice says, yes, in my smoothies, at least 3 different greens. That's awesome. That's awesome. And loving salads now, even for breakfast. Yay! And Marilyn says her smoothie, she likes it in. That is fantastic, you guys. So let's see. So if you find that the holidays are busy, right? Because what are we doing? Shopping, a lot of people, cooking, you've got the events, maybe you're still working, making it much easier to neglect meal planning. And what happens when we do that? It can lead to last minute decisions that you may not have otherwise done or doesn't align with your goals. And so without a plan, let's say you're in the hardware store or you're in a shopping mall, what's right there at the counter where you're checking out? All the garbage, the convenient foods that if you were feeling good, you might just pass right by, but it may make you take a look and think about it. And so if you feel stuck when everyone else is enjoying festival meals, that's another thing that can happen is you don't feel really good. So what do we do? Let's talk about a solution. Well, you can prepare holiday meals in advance if you're going to be whether you're going to be hosting or you're going to be going to someone's house or a work party or whatever it is. So you can batch cook a few festive whole food plant-based dishes, and you can reheat them easily. I do that. And if it's really in advance, go ahead and stick it in the freezer and thaw it. Just like when we go to the convenient store and you get food that's in the freezer, make your own frozen food, and then you can thaw it. And you could do things like, sweet potato shepherd's pie or whatever, or a lentil stuffed squashes, or whatever it is that sounds exciting and delicious to you. And then bring your own dish to the gatherings, like I do. I bring my own dishes everywhere. And if you're going to a holiday party, you'll be prepared and you can really focus on other things. So here's a question for you guys. What's your biggest meal planning challenge during the holidays, if you have one? And then I'm going to check the chat before we go into our last mistake. Let's see here. Just checking anything. Lisa says, I like to put cauliflower rice in my oatmeal. I used to do that. I don't eat a lot of oatmeal right now because for me, it's a little an inflammatory food. But when I did it, I did that. And it's so good. Good for you. And thank you for bringing that up. And so let's see. Bringing you on my afternoon. Wow, I don't know. Okay. Yep. Okay. So we're waiting to see if anyone else wants to add anything about what's your biggest meal planning challenge during the holidays. So, Jill says, my biggest challenge is a very small refrigerator and a small kitchen. Okay. So, well, I would say that no matter what your space is, we just have to adapt and figure out what will work. So maybe buying, not a lot of stuff at once, maybe buying smaller portions of a variety. I don't know. Does anyone have any suggestions for Jill? Yeah. Oh, Todd says make smaller batches. Yeah. Well, you could, but you just also, you got to do what works for you. And I don't know, do you have a bigger freezer? You got to just kind of look at those things. Thank you for sharing. Let's see if anyone else has any suggestions. And I'm going to think about that in the meantime. So we're going to go on to mistake number 5, our final mistake, which is a lot of people tell me they're expecting immediate results. And that's hard, right? When we get sick and we have a pharmaceutical pill, the pain might go away real quickly. And we live in this fast-paced world where we expect immediate results. You look something up, you ask Siri, you do whatever, right? It's so fast, and not necessarily the same thing here in this world of living whole food plant-based, because our bodies are moving a little bit slower. So I want to suggest to you that you focus on the journey and enjoy the journey, and not just focus on the destination where you want to be, because eventually you'll probably get there, and it may look different by the time you get there than it does way over here. So it's nice to enjoy the journey. So another thing you could do is track your small wins. What does that mean? Well, you can track your improved energy. Maybe you're getting better sleep. Maybe you've gotten rid of some of those processed foods, and so your cravings are reduced. Because we live in a world of quick fixes, and it's easy to feel frustrated if you don't see the immediate results from living the whole food plant-based lifestyle. But, just try to remember that your body is healing, it's adapting, and give it the time that it needs. Give it the time that it deserves to allow for great success. The holidays can also amplify unrealistic expectations. So you might hope for a quick weight loss. Oh, I want to get this special dress by Thursday or whatever. Or you might want that instant energy boost. I'm hearing people, I ate the meal that you told me to, and I'm still not feeling great, right? And so it might not happen immediately, but you can do this, and it's different than allowing time for real transformation, I would say. So feeling disappointed by slow progress can make it harder to stay committed when you're facing the holiday temptations. So you just have to try to do your best to focus on maybe non-scale victories. And that could be things like, hey, I feel less bloated. And celebrate something like that as a win, right? You can practice self-compassion, which is beautiful, because we tend to offer a lot of compassion for others, but sometimes not for ourselves. So remember, And I'm not saying this as a suggestion or a get out of jail free card like from Monopoly, but one indulgent meal or a missed workout, it doesn't derail your progress. It's about the consistency over time. And so I'd like to ask, I'm going to check the chat for any answers from the last question while I follow up with this question. It is, what's one small win that you've had recently that you'd like to share? I would love to hear. So let me just look here. Oh, yes. Okay, so we were looking at the small refrigerator challenge. Make small batches. Yes, okay. And John Jew says, so good, Jennifer. Enjoy the journey of a lifetime. Yes, isn't it? Instead of the quick fix. Well said. Thank you so much. And oh gosh, let me see. Corpse. Now I'm messing it up. Core Scorpy. Oh, I was so good until I wasn't. Says each bite is a step in the right direction, 100%. Just like working out or learning a new skill. Yeah, consistency is key. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes. And so I don't know if anyone else is going to share any of their one small wins that you've had recently, but while you may be wanting to share that, I am going to move some things around because I want to make vegan chocolate avocado mousse. And so I want to get that together. So give me just a minute here to move things around and make space for this really quickly. So I'm going to move this beautiful bowl back here, and I'm going to bring out my NutriBullet. This is going to be a simple, fun, delicious thing that you can be successful with, and I'm excited to share with you. Just want to give us a little bit of room, and we still want to see these beautiful things, so I'll put them back there. All right, so what's one of the first things we're going to need? Avocado. Yes, we are going to need avocado. So I am going to go ahead and plug this in right here so that it's ready to go. Tell me, Todd, is there anybody saying anything about anything?
So Core Scorpy has said, no small wins. Each bite is a big win. And then hashtag perspective.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you. Wonderful. Wonderful. So any more is welcome when we can keep checking the chat. So I just want to show you that I'm going to take a ripe avocado. And this one, I thought I washed all of these. This one had a sticker. So I'm going to rinse this off and get this sticker off. And I'm going to show you how to make it. I actually made one already, and I want to show you just a little teaser how beautiful this is going to be and look. Yes, and it is yummy, and we are going to taste it together. So that is our finished product. So what I'm going to do is I am going to be adding, I'm going to make half of the recipe. So you can double it or triple it, but if it's too much, you can, for a NutriBullet, you can always use a food processor or something else that will blend well, like a Vitamix or something like that. So I am just going to cut this avocado in half. There it is. And I'm going to push on the back here like I like to do to get that pit to come right out. I've got my spoon, and I am going to just gently scoop out the flesh. You're going to want an avocado that is ripe. If you're unfamiliar with how to pick a ripe avocado or how to store it or anything, I do have I think I have a video on avocado, and it is so creamy. And there are so many different avocados. Oh, we recently went to this potluck holiday party where somebody had made vegan sushi with millet. I think he may have done that because he knows that I would prefer that as a grain, but maybe not. Maybe he just did it because he wanted to. And he used a different kind of avocado that I was not aware of, and it is called a Florida avocado. Have you guys ever seen or tasted? Do you know what a Florida avocado is? Let me rinse my hands real quick. It is gigantic. It's creamier. It's got a less flavor tone than the Haas, which is what we're using. Okay, so I've got my avocado in here. That's the first thing. Now, I'm going to use a soy milk. You don't have to use soy milk. You can use any plant milk you want, but I'm going to go ahead and use a soy milk, and I'm going to rinse this because I need this measuring cup, and I want to dry it because I kind of did that backwards. So I have, and I'll tell you, I'll give you the ingredients here. This is a half recipe because I already have one. So you would double it if you want the full recipe. But this is 1 large avocado, ripe, very ripe, halved and pitted. Then we're putting, so I'm giving them the half recipe. 1 large avocado. I'm doing a 1/4 cup of the plant milk. And now I'm going to add some cacao powder. And that is going to, this is really easy because most of the measurements are a 1/4 cup. A 1/4 cup of milk, a 1/4 cup of cacao powder. If you don't want cacao powder, you could try it with carob. I haven't tried it with carob. It will give it a different taste, but that is an option. Okay, so I've got that in there. And then I have a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. I'm going to do this. This is a dessert. It's supposed to be delicious and not your meal, but you could bring this and have this instead of maybe some other things that you might not otherwise want. And then we are going to add to that a teaspoon of vanilla bean powder. And I think I got a little dribble of the soy milk in here when I was prepping it. So it's a little stuck, but you get the picture. And that is it. Now, I do have some chocolate chips here on the side we are going to talk about in a minute, but you don't have to use them. You could just use these few ingredients. So I've got the avocado, the soy milk, the cacao powder. Yeah, I think I did everything. So let me go ahead and start this mixing up. Here we go. Ready? Oh my gosh, I don't think the music comes out quite the same on the live. In fact, I know it doesn't. And so we just want to keep mixing this up, and it might need a little help, but let me just do it one more time. I think it's probably good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to unplug it. Now, this is it. This is it. Look at that, so yummy. If it doesn't taste sweet enough for you, or you're missing that real chocolate, moussey kind of flavor, you can certainly have it this way, and it is delicious. But if you want to bring it up a notch, you could take a 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. The chocolate chips that I'm using here are one of 2 choices. They're hard to find, but these are fantastic. They're called Just Date, and they're organic chocolate chips. They're vegan, and they're sweetened with dates. Or sometimes I can't even find these online. And then in that case, I've used this many times, which is the Enjoy Life. So depending on what works for you. And if you decide that you want to do it, go ahead and either put it in the microwave, because it's just this little bit, which I'm going to use the microwave. I try not to use my microwave too much, but in this case, I'm going to put it on. Or if you really don't want it, or you don't have one, you could do a double boiler and heat that up. And so while that's going on, I am going to just mix this up and get it ready to taste. Do we have any questions? Anything going on in the chat there, Todd?
We're talking about Florida avocados.
Oh, yeah. So share with me. I want to be part of that. It was so good, wasn't it?
Actually, when I say we, is mostly Jill and I were talking about Florida avocados, where they come from. Next time she's in Florida, thinking about buying them. I mentioned that the gentleman who made the sushi got him actually at our local Asian food store.
Yes, he did. He said that. And they are huge in size compared to these. I don't know how big. They're very large.
They can actually grow to be up to 2 pounds each.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh, wow. That would be fun. So I actually put this in for just under a minute. when you put it in the microwave, you're not going to see it look melty. It's after you take it out that you touch it, you know. Well, I shouldn't have used this one, but that it will melt. Whoa, and it's melting on the bottom. But I think, let's see, I just want to show you. Can you see? Can you see that it looks glistening and starting to melt? So I'm going to give it another, I don't know, 10 seconds or so. And then we're going to mix it in here. And then we are going to plate it. And here we have these. Oh, this is going to be so fun. I just love it. Okay. There we go. Okay, so you can see just a little bit goes a long way. And I'm going to go ahead and dump this in right there. Like I said, you can skip this part and it is still delicious. But knowing my husband, he always says, you know, I'd really like it with the chocolate chips in there. All right, Todd, you get it. And so depending on where you are in your journey, you may or may not like it too. So I'm just mixing it right here in the NutriBullet and just incorporating that little bit of extra yumminess. And that's it. And now I'm going to put it in my, you could serve it any way you want. I'm putting it in these little, these are what, brandy glasses, did you say? You know, and look at how nice and thick and moussey that looks. And it's avocado. I mean, and you know, I wouldn't suggest like eating this every day for lunch. Although I guess you could, but no, you know, this way you have something that's a special treat for you. You could share it, or you can just bring it in when everybody else is maybe having other things that you feel like you're missing out on, which you're not, by the way. Then you can say, well, I have this. And that's what I was talking about earlier. You know, this is a conversation piece. And we are like running out of room here. So let me get a special, and then you can serve it if you want with like a couple little chips on top. You don't have to. Let's see, if you wanted to, you can put a couple little chips. Or what I wanted to do was have some fresh berries, like raspberries. Wouldn't that jazz it up? And I didn't have any fresh ones, and I did not get a chance to take some out of the freezer. So serving them also with fun spoons, that's really fun too. Would you like to come over here and try these with me, Todd?
Oh, twist my arm.
Okay, so I just want to check the chat. And oh yeah, I do want to say that Marilyn Gibbs says, changing my bad habits and feeling successful. I'm not sure if we read that or yeah, so we're talking about the Florida avocado. It looks great. So here you go.
Okay.
I made this one. This is the
hello
brand new
everyone
one.
from
Hi.
behind or now in front.
Right. So we're going to try this, and I really want you to share what your thoughts are about texture, taste, and all that stuff, because, well, I think that would be nice.
Okay, well, I'll happily share that.
Cheers.
I need a bigger spoon, I think. I got a chocolate chip in there. That was good.
Well, I put a couple on top there. Yeah.
Wow, so super rich, creamy, moussey texture, for sure.
Do you feel like this is some decadent, sugary
oh my God,
nonsense?
I could bathe in this. I think I would just slather myself up in it all day.
Yeah, it's
This is
really
fantastic.
good.
Yeah. Definitely going to need a bigger spoon.
I like the fun little spoons.
That's good.
So anyways, I'm wondering if anybody he's taking that, which is fine. Oh, look at Lisa says, poor Todd, the suffering he does for us, right? Oh, he's coming back over.
I tell you, I would do anything for you guys. So glad you appreciate that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this time of year, it's about joy. For me, it's about connection. It's about gratitude. And, you know, just remember your health is a gift to yourself and to your loved ones who, when you're not doing well, suffer also. So take small, constant steps and you will be successful. And you probably already are. And stay on track. That's key here. So I just want to know if anybody has any final thoughts, anything you want to share. I really, really appreciate having everybody spend some time with me. And I hope that the holidays, I know that they can feel like a challenge at times for some, but with a little planning and support, they can be also looked at as an opportunity to shine, right? And I'm here for you every step of the way that I can be. So I hope that you guys try this recipe, even if it's not for the holidays. It could be for a birthday or just, one of those times. And I would love if you do try it on the replay, go ahead and leave a comment. I would love to hear how it turns out and any thoughts that you might have regarding this easy, delicious dessert. So Lisa says, good show today. Thank you for sharing these tips. Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here, and I'm glad that it was helpful. And so a lot of us also that are on this journey, they've been on this journey, that doesn't mean that we don't fall back or have hiccups, so to speak. And so hopefully this would serve as a reminder of support. I'm sending you a hug and kisses and love and smiles and joy and laughter, because with these kinds of foods and doing it the right way, the cell building that happens inside your body and the energy that you get, I mean, the whole world opens up. At least that's what happened for me. And life is such a joy. And so thank you for your video. Recipe looks so good, says Jill. And I appreciate that. And so I guess we could end, unless anybody else has anything to say. We have actually a couple of minutes still. Did you have any questions or anything you want to say? He's just shoveling.
I do have one question.
The dessert.
Are you going to eat that mousse?
I am going to eat some of it. No, I'm not going to eat this whole thing, but would you like me to try some right now?
Well,
I should have made a
You should try some, but if you're not going to eat it, I will happily finish it for you.
No, I did try it. Yeah. But I think that it's really important to also share things like this with people that might be, reluctant or not sure about it. And Marilyn says, thank you so much for your encouragement. Oh, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. And I really do appreciate hearing that it's helpful for everyone. And if you can, give me a thumbs up just so it helps to allow other people to see the content as well. And so until next time, everyone, don't forget to eat your greens because they're important and all the things that we talked about, and give plants a chance. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. All right. Bye for now.